Bitcoin dumped overnight, but is the worst over, or can we expect more selling still? Plus, XRP gets a big credibility boost, and one altcoin just got listed on the Nasdaq. This is your Altcoin Buzz News. Hey, what's up everyone? My name is Cody, and if you're new here, make sure to like, subscribe, and turn on notifications so you don't drop latest content. Follow us on Twitter, altcoinbuzz.io, and as always, not financial advice, and wish the best of luck in your crypto ventures. All right, good morning, guys. Happy Friday. So starting off today, Bitcoin sell-off still underway. So I wanted to share this real quick before we get into the TA. Galaxy Digital deposited another 2,850 Bitcoin for $330 million to exchanges. So overnight, we had a pretty big sell-off, and that was part of it. A lot of these exchanges got a lot of money sent to them. But I will say, to me, this is exactly what we were looking for. Could the sell-off still happen into New York Open? It is possible. We could keep coming down a little bit further. But I think this is ultimately a bullish move that I was actually looking for. We wanted the sweep below these lows to take out all the liquidity here before we continue higher. And this is just like I talked about before we broke out earlier in the low 100s. We usually, when we take out the bottom or the top of a range, we then usually reverse to the other side of the range pretty quickly. So last night we came here down towards around $114,800. We took out all the stops here that were all the liquidity that was resting here. And now already this morning, we're starting to have a little bit of a recovery. You can see here this candle already back into this range on the lower time frames at around 116.5. So I do think it is possible. Maybe it's not immediate. We might have to go down a little bit lower, come back down here, test it again in New York Open. But I do think we head towards the top of this range again soon, towards 123,000, at the very least towards 120,000 around this, midpoint of this range here. You can see here back when we were in late June, we took out the bottom of this range here. We went down to $98,000. And then very soon after, we took out the top of the range and we broke through again. So it could be one like this where we just go to the top of the range and we don't quite break through. That's a possibility. I'm not ruling that out. But usually when we do break these ranges, we on one side, we then reverse to the other side for the true move soon afterwards. So I do think this is, ultimately bullish. I think we end up going back up here towards 123 sooner rather than later. Maybe it happens over the weekend. Maybe it's kind of an illiquid weekend and we pump into the weekend. So we'll have to see today. But to me, this ultimately looks bullish. Then we have, this was going on yesterday. There's a lot of memes that came out of this, but President Trump just told Jerome Powell to lower the interest rates in the actual Federal Reserve. This is wild. So he said this.
As a real estate developer, what would you do with a project manager who would be over budget?
Generally speaking, what would I do? I'd fire him.
Do you think this issue, Mr. President, gives you cause to do that?
Well, I'm here just really with the chairman. He's showing us around, showing us the work. And so I don't want to get that. I don't want to be personal. I just would like to see it get finished. And in many ways, it's too bad it started. But it did start. And it's been under construction for a long time. It's going to be a real long time because it looks like it's got a long way to go.
Yes, sir.
So.
President, are there things the chairman can say to you today that would make you back off some of the earlier criticism?
Well, I'd love him to lower interest rates. Other than that, what can I tell you?
Now, part of the reason we could also be selling off is de-risking going into next week for FOMC. So we have FOMC next week where the Fed will decide whether to cut, hike, or keep rates unchanged. And this is a kind of more, prevalent because of what just happened with, Jerome Powell and Trump visiting the Federal Reserve. So people are maybe paying a little bit more attention to this as Trump was physically there talking to him. He said he's not going to fire him yet, but, there might be a little bit more pressure meeting in person. So that is kind of a possibility as to why we could be selling off before FOMC next week. But at the same time, the global M2 money supply hit another all-time high, and Bitcoin's price historically follows. So as more money around the world is being printed, Bitcoin and asset prices typically go up. So we are seeing that now as well. So I do think this is another reason why I don't think, we're just going to harshly correct back down. I do think we're going towards new Bitcoin all-time highs pretty soon as well. And then moving on, this actually surprised me. We have the Nasdaq exchange saying, from entertainment to blockchain innovation, TRON Inc., formerly SRM Entertainment, is now officially Nasdaq listed under its new name, pioneering blockchain integrated treasury strategies. Congrats on this milestone at TRON. So TRON is now an official Nasdaq listed company. This is wild. You can see Justin Sun in New York City for TRON being listed on the Nasdaq. Very, very wild. Not on my bingo card for this year. Then we also have TRON is quietly becoming the stablecoin powerhouse of crypto. A year ago, almost half of USDT on TRON sat idle in exchanges. Now only 13% is there. The rest, over $70 billion, is being used on chain. People aren't just holding USDT on Tron anymore. They're moving 15 billion plus every day in DeFi, P2P payments, DEX trading, lending, and cross-border remittances. Even Tron's own stablecoin, USDD, has grown to 520 million supply, with half locked in Just Lend, a sign people trust and use Tron native DeFi. Why it's bullish? This means Tron isn't just a network for storing money, it's where money moves and works. Every transaction, every DeFi loan, every remittance builds sticky demand for Tron's ecosystem and its native token. And the Tron DAO also posted, Tron announced the official deployment of the Trump meme coin on Tron's blockchain. The token expansion is enabled by Layer 0, omni-chain fungible token standard, and Stargate Finance's user interface and liquidity transport protocol. The deployment of Trump on Tron introduces the token to one of the most actively used blockchain networks in the world. So now you can get the Trump meme coin on Tron as well. It actually looks pretty bullish here, but this is one of the ones that's very hard to trade. It's just a very choppy upwards thing. This is one, like, if you like Tron, you just buy it, spot, and hold, and you're pretty good. This is an absolutely insane chart. It's only been in a bull run since 2020. Like, it's pretty much up only for the past 5 years, which is actually insane. Very hard to trade because, I mean, you can long it, but I think it's better just to buy spot because it's kind of upwards chop. It's like choppy, but it's like not very fun to trade. Look at this. This is just very So to me, it looks actually very bullish. This is a pretty bullish pullback. We came back down into this order block here. Down here, we wicked into this, took out stops, and now I think we're going to continue higher, but at least back towards these highs around 33 cents. So very bullish for Tron, just not one that I personally like to trade. But if you want to hold this as spot, probably pretty good because it seems to only go up. So Tron's very, very strong. Then we have a circle saying native USDC and CCTP v2 are live on the Say network. Institutions, developers, and businesses on Say can now access the world's largest regulated stablecoin for a range of use cases. For DeFi, power trading, swaps, and credit and financial apps. For gaming, enabling in-game payments and rewards with USDC and Say games. And for payments, run global payroll and remittances in real time. And then we have Ryozuki saying Say recorded $16.7 billion in stablecoin transaction volume over the past week. Say now surpasses the combined stablecoin volume of XRP, TON, Stellar, AVAX, and OP. Just imagine what USDY and USDC could unlock on the Say network. Say is moving fast in stablecoin adoption. At the same time, Immortal says Say now has 3 million weekly active users, onboarding 2 million new users every week. Exactly 1 year ago, the Say network had just 8,000 active users. The growth is insane. It actually is pretty insane, this growth on Say network. And Say is one of the ones that's becoming more popular and more talked about recently. Say also flipped ETH, SUI, and ARB in transactions, with weekly transactions hitting 36.7 million on the Say network. Say is the most undervalued chain ever. Now, Say to me actually looks very nice right here. This is an area where you could take a long. I kind of like this right here, but I also want to see what happens at New York Open. If we come down and maybe sweep these lows again, what could happen is we come down here, take these out, and then do something like that. We're another good place to long. So I kind of want to see what happens for New York Open today on Friday. But I do think ultimately Say looks very bullish. I would like to get it somewhere around this area for a continuation back up, maybe take profit around 39 cents and then back towards around 54 cents. I think Say is one that is kind of, starting to gain its ground. You can see here for the longest time, and this is kind of what I talk about with TA. So we had this long-term kind of accumulation. This was for multiple months. We just kind of accumulated at the bottom here. And now we're getting that kind of level retest where we break out, we retest that. And so we're now kind of one level above that. And so this is the area where you want to start, taking the longs as we head back up to the top of the structure here. So this is a pretty good area for that. This would have been the most ideal one, around 25 cents. But, right around here, around 31 cents, I think is pretty good, back towards around 54. And then moving on to XRP, we have Bill Morgan saying, what I've gathered today from reading the S1 form filed with the SEC today by Wellgistics Health is incredibly revealing. It's more than just a company using XRP in its treasury reserve. This is a summary of what the filing revealed. So WH is not only planning to hold XRP as a treasury reserve, it also plans to implement a payment solution leveraging the XRP ledger to facilitate low-cost real-time payments between WH, its pharmacy customers, and its manufacturer and vendor partners. This is real business utility for the XRP ledger. WH also intends to issue equity or debt securities or other capital raisings to use the proceeds to purchase more XRP. WH also intends to use its XRP holdings as collateral for capital raising transactions. There's also reference to WH using XRP holdings to create income streams, in short, using XRP as a reserve asset to earn income and to use it as collateral and use it for payments all in one. XRP will be working hard for WH, but they say XRP has no utility. So this is a Nasdaq listed health company that is starting to use XRP as not just a treasury reserve asset, but even more, which is very bullish for XRP. However, at the same time, we have Ripple co-founder dumps XRP at the top. So a wallet linked to Chris Larsen moved 50 million XRP or $175 million to exchanges as soon as XRP neared local highs. Now the crypto community is accusing him of dumping on retail. We also have Martin saying Chris Larsen, Ripple co-founder, just dumped $200 million of XRP in the past 10 days. Still buying. You're the exit liquidity. He's dumping on you. So we can see here, this is all of Chris Larsen's sells. And it's pretty much every time we come up to around $3.50, he sells. And this red is how much he's selling. So you can see he is definitely taking profit. And so it's hard to say, is this a good thing? Is this a bad thing? I mean, it's not good for if you're holding XRP. But is he selling all of it? He has about $7 billion still worth of it, and he just sold 200 million. So it's hard to say necessarily if that is like the end of the world kind of thing, because he still has so much. But overall, it looks like XRP is getting bought back up here around $3.13. And so it's not the end of the world for XRP. I think we still continue higher from here. We came back down, we retested around here, which is this order block here. So we came back down here, we retested this level as support. If we can hold here, I think it's pretty bullish and we continue higher. But if we start breaking down below here, down under New York Open, after New York Open, I think we start getting back down towards around $3 or even a little bit lower. So we really want to hold this level today after New York Open. And if we don't, it's going to look ugly. But if we do, I think we head back towards new all-time highs and we start making our way towards $4 for XRP. So overall, to me, it still looks bullish. These are daily candle wicks. We wick down, we wick down, we wick down. And this is the third time where we wicked down and we bought back up. So there is clear demand around this area between $3 and $3.12. So there's a lot of demand for XRP around this area. And I think, to me, it looks very bullish. We'll just have to see what happens at the market open. And then moving on, LA chart says whales have accumulated over 1.6 million Chainlink in the last 2 weeks. So whales are accumulating a lot of Link. And also, Surya Nazarov, CEO of Chainlink, breaks down how the global rise of tokenized assets could reshape currency markets.
If all the tokenized assets after stablecoins, if all the tokenized funds, if all the tokenized real estate, if all the tokenized commodities, if all the tokenized equities, if all the tokenized non-currency, non-crypto things, which is, by the way, the majority of everything, if all of that gets tokenized predominantly outside the US, then people forcing others to buy and settle and purchase those assets in non-US dollar denominated payment methods on a blockchain, the likelihood of that rises. If all the assets, the best tokenized funds, the best tokenized equities, best tokenized commodities, best tokenized versions of every asset is issued from the US financial system, then the likelihood that the US dollar gets used to buy them goes up very high, and much higher than otherwise. And really, even the U.S. financial system could gain market share in that scenario.
Yeah.
And so this is the scenario that we've painted to people in Washington and explained to them. This is also the scenario we've explained to people in other parts of the world. As more and more global trade, as more and more assets go on chain, and more transaction volume is done on chain, governments will compete with each other for the use of their currency as the method of settlement on a blockchain. And that will be a new arena in which they need to win.
And the total value secured of Chainlink is less than 10% away from its all-time high, quietly soaring. We know what happens next. So Chainlink is one of the ones that I think is like quietly doing well. It's not getting talked about that much, but it's just quietly building and doing really well, securing a lot. It's just amazing. We also have Chainlink saying, we're excited to announce that Chainlink and Mastercard have partnered to enable billions of cardholders to purchase crypto directly on-chain. Chainlink verifies and synchronizes key transaction details to enable MasterCard holders to access crypto directly on-chain, which is kind of crazy. And if we go to this chart here, we can see the Chainlink-powered Swapper Finance app is live today, enabling card holders to purchase crypto directly on-chain from decentralized exchanges. So using your credit card, you can buy stuff on-chain with Swapper Finance's XSwap, the leading DEX built out of Chainlink ecosystem that uses Chainlink standard for data and interoperability. So you can see here, you have a MasterCard and you want to buy crypto, you want to buy the latest thing on a DEX. You don't know if it's going to rug, but still you can buy it with your credit card. You buy it with your credit card and then you look back and then it's gone to zero. So kind of crazy that you can now buy things from DEXs with your credit card. Just more ways that crypto is becoming more mainstream. Now, Link is one that is very bullish here. I wish we bought around here around $17 because this is a great area. Maybe if we come back down here during New York Open, that would be a great place. I think we're going back towards these highs soon. So two different areas where I would be interested. If we came back down here around $17.30, I'd like to long here, you know, maybe a stop below whatever the wick is. And I think we go back towards $22.50 pretty soon. Another one is if we don't get this, then possibly if we come back above here, reclaim this level around $19.35. I'd like to take this long with a stop below whatever this wick is here, and targeting back towards these highs around $26.85. These are two different possibilities for Chainlink. I think we're going higher. Chainlink has a lot of great news coming out, and if Bitcoin wants to continue higher as well, I think Chainlink, you know, is still doing pretty well compared to other altcoins where, you know, other altcoins are probably up here. Maybe if we look at like Fartcoin, for example, it's up here compared to Chainlink in its chart, whereas Chainlink still has a lot more room to grow and, you know, bounce after these lows here. So I think Chainlink is looking pretty good, and it's one that I'd like to actually enter if we can get the opportunity down here, or whether it's around here in the next coming day or so. So overall, the markets are looking decent. I think, you know, I think this sweep was pretty bullish for Bitcoin. I think because we swept this and now we're getting a buyback, it would be nice to see it continue back to the other side. But I will say it doesn't happen all at once. When we swept here, we came down here, we swept, we came back, we kind of retested, we sat here for a minute, we came back down, and then we went back up. So it's not going to instantly V-reverse, although I do say that a lot. I think we could retest this level still around 15.5, but then ultimately still go back to the other side of this range. So that's what I'm looking for today on New York Open and over the weekend. And that is the video for today, guys. I hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you on Monday.